What is up, you guys? It's your boy Luis Torres, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Subscribe if you haven't. You're gonna love it, I hope. Anyway, so I was talking to my buddy John earlier today, and we were talking about, bands that we remember that just made a huge impact, literally right out of the gate. And he's just like, well, which was the first band that kind of punched you in the throat? And that is Pantera. It's Cemetery Gates right out of the gate. I remember being like, are you kidding? And of course, the introduction is just like, meanwhile, my buddy Angel, who was an amazing singer, still is, lives down in Florida now. He was just like, bro, you have to listen to this. Like, I remember exactly where I was listening to Pantera for the very first time. And he's like, oh, it's this new band. And I'm just like, all right, whatever. So I'm listening to the intro and I'm just like, snooze fest. I'm like, really, dude? All right. Okay, this is a new song. And I was instantly, I was just like, who the hell is this? And, the rest is metal history with Pantera, going from a hair metal band to this iconic super band. So that was the first, that to me, that was my number one. Number two is kind of the same as far as the intro goes. So I was introduced to this band as, hey, Madonna's record label just signed this amazing band. And I'm just like, are you serious? Like, you don't understand. Like, at the time, Madonna had opened and launched Maverick Records, and one of the first big groups was Candlebox, and they were good for that genre of music. And they also had Alanis Morissette, and I was just like, so I knew that who their record labels were, and I was like, you're talking about the same record label that Candlebox is on? And he's like, yeah. I was just like, all right, whatever. And here's this intro that's kind of slowish too. And I'm just like, okay, started to get into it. And then this amazing scream just belts out of nowhere. And it is Bored by the Deftones. Same thing, I remember when the Deftones first launched. I think they came out like in the late 80s and then eventually got signed in the early 90s. And dude, that was my number two. I remember just being like, what the heck is this? And the third was Jerry Was a Race Car Driver by Primus. Same thing, I remember when Primus first got signed and their first album launched, and someone just saying, oh, this is the guy that tried out for Metallica. Keep in mind, this is early 90s. This is pre-computer. The only person that had a computer that I had known of was my buddy Jesse, and that's because his dad was a surgeon and they were millionaires in the 80s. So no one, how people knew about this is mind-blowing, but people knew who they were, and or who Les Claypool was, and that he had tried out for Metallica. So I'm just like, all right, well, so let me listen to this guy. And here's Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, and I was completely floored. So who are the three bands that impacted you, that made you sit back and just be like, are you kidding me right now? And listen, I'm 50, so my era is going to be completely different than yours, unless you're as old as me and have a bunch of gray hairs all over the place. So write down in the comments, let me know who your three bands were that basically made you sit back and take notice. And keep in mind that I had already been playing guitar for a few years when I listened to Pantera and Primus, really more for his bass, and the guitarist, he's kind of a weirdo. Great musician, but and then there's the Deftones. But I remember just being like, these bands are absolutely incredible, and they have it. And you know what? I realized I didn't have it. I didn't have that. But yeah, leave in the comments. Let me know which are your three bands that literally made you stop in your tracks, take notice. And I feel like these bands that you're going to mention are the bands that made you sit back and want to write differently, want to switch around your style of music. I'll add a fourth, and that's Tool. I remember the first time I listened to Tool, and I was just, same thing. I was like, who the hell are these guys? And Jesus Christ, that guitarist is crazy. Just like the guitarist of Primus, but just gifted, just talented. They just, these are just guys that just think out of the box and just write music that makes a statement. So again, write your three favorite bands that you recall just making such a huge impact on your styling, on the genre of music you play, whatever metal band you feel make those three bands up in your life. Jot them down, down below. Let other guys know exactly who your three bands are. And again, if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for checking it out. Subscribe if you haven't, you're gonna like it. And thank you so much for watching. And as usual, I'll talk to you guys soon.